Good morning readers, it's Tilly here from Tilly's Shelf and welcome to another bookish breakfast. So I really haven't read an awful lot in the last week. I've literally read the first half chapter of Catching Fire by Suzanne aloud to Beau, and another half chapter of Hilary Mantel's The Mirror and the Light. So I'm now part way through the chapter called Vile Blood, which is far less than I normally would read, and I don't normally read like a huge amount. So I was thinking of doing today, instead of a bookish breakfast, a kind of unbookish breakfast and doing like a general update on how things are. But then I decided that actually we're all sick of hearing about what I like to call the situation, and we'd probably rather hear a little bit about sort of bookish things. So other bookish things that we have been doing lately that haven't involved necessarily reading include watching some adaptations. So back in the autumn, I believe, I listened to the audiobooks of The Lord of the Rings and The Handmaid's Tale, and both of them were rereads for me that I reread via audiobook, that is. And the last couple of weeks we have been watching the recent adaptations of them. I say recent, The Lord of the Rings films are almost as old as me, which is alarming. So we tend to revisit the Lord of the Rings films on a relatively frequent basis because they're brilliant films, and we both love them and we both love the stories, and the films are a very easy way of getting a dose of the stories and the Tolkien world without diving into the relatively deep and complex books and sort of wider lore. So that's been very enjoyable, and every time we just really enjoy, particularly the musical score, like the background music is always really stunning, and always really enjoyable to hear some of, and also just the attention to detail in terms of the costume design, and the points at which people wear certain things and so on. I think the amount of thought that went into those films is just phenomenally impressive. And then for the first time we have watched the the series of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So this was made into a series, I'm going to say in 2016, and neither of us had watched it yet because I wanted to save it until Beau had read the book and also until I had reread the book, so that I would kind of know be able to properly compare it and understand it in comparison to the book. And I really love this. This is one of my favourite 20th century works of literature. I think I put Margaret Atwood on my favourite authors list primarily because of this book, because I think it's very, very powerful. And yeah, I'm really impressed with the TV show. Like, I thought that I would potentially be slightly disappointed, but actually, although there were a lot of changes there, I felt that every change that they put in was kind of worth it. Or made it more relevant to us now, or made it more kind of like understandable. Like, I really enjoy the fact that they looked at other ways in which the regime was oppressive, as in not just oppressing women but also oppressing people on the basis of sexuality, and then moving into the second series, which we've just started, on the basis of religion slightly more than was initially covered in the book. I'm having some difficulties with my phone. It is not allowing me to access all of the memory that I have, but I thought I'd just quickly share a quote with you from a couple of these different books. So I'm going to start with the bleakest. This is from The Handmaid's Tale. "Ordinary," said Aunt Lydia, "is what you are used to. This may not seem ordinary to you now, but after a time it will. It will become ordinary." Then from The Hunger Games, the classic quote is, "May the odds be ever in your favour," and I think something that we can all remember at this time is actually the odds are in our favour. Sorry, I'm making the camera shake there. The vast majority of people will get better, so it's just something to cling to when things seem a little bit bleak and when we hear the worst parts of the news. Generally things are okay. And then the classic inspiring quote from The Lord of the Rings. "I wish it need not have happened in my time," said Frodo. "So do I," said Gandalf, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us." Okay, take care, have a nice week, and look after yourselves. Bye!